Well, there's a 3x3 Rubik's Cube sitting in front of the box. How big is this thing? Well, as usual, wrapped extremely well by Cubezz. Oh my goodness, this is way bigger than I expected. What? There's nothing else in that box that I can see. That's that. Wow. Okay, you can see this is from VeryPuzzle, of course. It's called the Classical Tuttminx version 2.0. I don't know why it's number 90. I don't think that would be, this is the 90th one. I could be wrong. Classical Tuttminx version 2.0, design Lee Tutt, and I'll get into that in a minute. And the company is VeryPuzzle, and that's kind of like, I don't know, these Asian names, VeryPuzzle, Now Store. I don't know how that works, but there you go. Wow, this is gigantic. This is so much bigger than I thought, and it's so much bigger than the original Tuttminx that I bought years ago. Okay, I got to pause the video and check that this is actually in the picture. Well, it is in the picture now. I've never really had to move my zoom out before. Normally I'm having to move it in. This is humongous, and from my memory, it is way bigger than the original Tuttminx. So what is a Tuttminx? Well, this puzzle, the Tuttminx, was first presented by Lee Tutt back in December of 2005. That's nearly 20 years ago. I wasn't even on the Twisty Puzzles forum then. I didn't even know such things existed. And his thread was titled My Puzzle Based on the Megaminx. And he just called it an extension of the Megaminx. It's a truncated icosahedron. It's got 32 sides. He decided to call it the Tuttminx because he didn't know what else. His name was Lee Tutt. What a great name. And I think, I'm just going to read out a few little things here. 182 external pieces, 60 corners, 60 pentagon hexagon edges, 30 hexagon edges, 12 pentagon centers, 20 hexagon centers. And what you've got is, if you look at this pentagon here, it's surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hexagons, of course, because the pentagon has 5 sides. The hexagons are not quite surrounded by 5 pentagons, so they've got 3 pentagons sitting there, and they've got another 3 hexagons. Incredible design. Incredible that it was produced at that time so early. If you think of all the other puzzles that have been produced, amazing stuff. So 32 sides. The fact that you can tell these colors fairly distinctly is incredible as well. That's a blue. That's, I don't know if that's a gray or a blue. I also don't know if you can see, it's got little ripple patterns in the stickers. That's another good way to distinguish stickers. There's a blue there. Is there anything that's very, very similar? I can't see anything that I'm going, well, I'd never tell them apart. Normally it's blues and greens that are the issue. But wow, fantastic color choice. So this arrived, this has been assembled and stickered, I presume, by VeryPuzzle and then sold on to the stores. I did mention Cubezz. Cubezz sent this to me to review. Thank you very much to them, as always. It's a real pleasure to be able to receive these puzzles, obviously, and to show others. So if you are going to buy one of these, please show Cubezz some love, buy it from them. That is a standard 3x3 to give you an idea of size. I don't know what the dimensions are. I know a 3x3 is 57 millimeters across, so I guess we're probably talking approximately 3 of them. So I guess, what's that? 160, 170 millimeters, 16, 17 centimeters, I would think. The weight is about 510 grams. It doesn't actually feel that heavy, but apparently it is. Maybe that's with the stand. Stand doesn't feel heavy either. But there you go. So I used to have one of these things. It was, I swear, about half the size of this. Definitely was not this big. So I think that's why this is called the Classical Tuttminx version 2.0, because this was, as I said, invented or not produced, presented in 2005. The first mass-produced version was 2011, so 6 years. And then, yeah, my maths is that good. And then the pillowed Tuttminx, I believe, came after that, sometime after that. So I think what they've done here is gone, let's produce this again. Let's make it a bit bigger. I seem to remember one of the issues was it was a bit too small. It was hard to turn some of these faces. It was also a thing about fudging, but I can't remember what that is. So, oh, wow. I definitely do not remember it turning that well. I'm just going to turn a few hexagon faces. I hope it's still in the screen. These are turning incredibly. He must have redesigned the whole mechanism. I don't know anything about that, but every single one of these, oh my goodness. This is how a puzzle should turn. What about some pentagon faces? Exactly the same. This is incredibly impressive. Wow. Every single face, there's no lockups. It's not turning too smoothly. Like it's not like, you know, the Fisher cubes where it's so smooth that it actually turns past where you want it to turn. It'll only turn where you want it to turn. Unbelievable work. Wow, great stuff. VeryPuzzle. I sound weird saying that, but great stuff. And I think this does jumble. I think it also fudges. In terms of jumbling, I can't remember exactly what it was, but obviously we're looking for cuts to line up. Is that one of them? I'm not entirely convinced that it is, because normally they should turn. You can kind of hear a little bit of clicking there, and I have a feeling that might be the fudging. What's fudging, you ask? I don't know. I just report on these things. Let's turn a pentagon face onto the hexagon. That's just a standard turn. So because they have five-fold symmetry, that is going to be able to turn. So any pentagon face that turns is fine. You'll still be able to turn the hexagon faces. The issue becomes the hexagon faces you can turn. What have I done there? 2 turns and it'll all line up. 4 turns, it'll all line up, and then we're back into business. So any multiple of 2 there. If you don't want to do any jumbling or fudging, you just got to keep your your hexagons to multiples of 2 in the turn. The pentagons can be anything. That will be fine. Even that will be enough of a challenge, I would have thought. I do want to show you, if I can, what the jumbling move is, if there is one. Now, I did have it there, but I wasn't thrilled about that. I wonder if it's, and I was turning the hexagon face. I can just feel some slight bit of tension there. What about the pentagon? Again, same thing. I'm not sure if see, that just doesn't seem right. So if you do get this, have a look at some details of what are the turns that are called fudging. It's where it kind of does turn, but it shouldn't, if that makes sense. The jumbling of it, let's try and, okay, where do I start? Anything like that. I'm just looking. I'm not talking because I have to use my brain. It's got to be between there and there if anything's going to happen. And the only thing that I can see that's happening is these turns like that one on the hexagon face and that one there. So before, I would do a scramble initially, I think, where it's just the, 2 turns of the hexagon, any turns of the pentagon face. I think I'd learn to solve that and then go ahead and have a look at the jumbling elsewhere. Wow, I'm so impressed with this puzzle. It's obviously big, so you can still hold it. You can see there, no problem actually holding it. And it's so light for the size of the puzzle that it's very, very simple to turn. You could also do that. You don't really need a stand, to be honest. You could just sit it on the floor, you could sit it on the floor, I suppose, if you're on the floor. Sit it on the table, give it a twist like that, turn it around. Perhaps there's an argument that it might damage some stickers doing that. I don't know. Maybe that's why it sits on this. But really, really impressive puzzle, I have to say. I'm so glad I've been sent this. Just looking at that brown. That, I don't know if that's a gold. That, to me, in the light looks brown, but then I sort of turn the light and it looks some different color. So a good choice, actually, doing these different sorts of stickers. And I'm just now wondering, I'm very slow to catch on to these things, are they all on the pentagon faces? I think they are. Ah, there you go. Learn something every minute. all the pentagon faces have these funny wavy bits on the stickers. Right, so I'm not sure what else I could say about this. I'm obviously going to have a scramble of it, but if you want a recommendation, is this puzzle good? Is it worth it? 100%. Yes, perfect turning, nice and light, good challenge. It's going to jumble. I'm just a bit concerned with my own memory and how bad that might be. Also just trying to think, can I see anywhere else where it's going to jumble without that feeling? So just about there. And you can kind of see it's pushing this out a little bit. And I wonder if that's part of the issue. So great puzzle. Thanks very much for Cubezz for sending it over. If you are going to buy it, get it from Cubezz. Cheapest anywhere. Way cheaper than the other well-known competitor. And even Z-Cube, who's probably the third well-known one, they seem cheaper, but then you got to add on their shipping. So get it from Cubezz. Great people. Happy to be dealing with them. That is the Tuttminx, the classical Tuttminx version 2.0.